Hello guys, welcome back into another video here on the Banjo Addict page. Thank you so much for pushing that play button. I greatly appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about learning your neck. I'm going to give you when I started off, knowing your neck was not like, I didn't know what it meant to know your neck. Like people would say, do you know your neck or learn your neck or what have you? I never knew what that meant for the longest time. I understood what learning the neck meant, but I didn't know what it meant. If that makes sense. So I didn't know how to go about how to learn my neck and all that good stuff. So anyways, that's what I want to show you guys today, is what it means to know your neck, and then also how you can go about learning it. Now, a lot of people think learning your neck is knowing each individual string and every note that there is at each individual fret on each individual string, and no, that is not it. Nowhere near it is. If you can learn it, more power to you. But as long as you know G, D, G, B, D, as long as you know that that's those strings right there, that would about be the only single notes. I mean, later on you will figure out where the A note is on a certain string and things like that, but that's not nothing to worry about for a long time. But what you do need to know is, like I said, the strings. And a good way that I remember the strings on my banjo is you come up with a I don't know what they call it, an acronym. Good days go by daily, because I'm always trying to be positive, and so every day is a good day. So it's good days go by daily, and that just reminds me that it's good days go by daily. G, D, G, B, D. And so that's how I remembered it. You can come up with your own acronym however you want to do it, but that's how I done it. But in order to learn your neck, the first thing you have got to understand is how the chords work. So like you got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then back to A, correct? So from each chord to the next in that progression goes a whole step, with the exception of from B to C and from E to F. Those are half steps. So like on your banjo, each fret on your banjo represents a half step on your banjo going down the neck. And so like say you're going from an F chord right here down to a G, well, you've got to go 2 frets down, and there's your G. Like I said, with the exception of B to C and E to F. So let's say you're on a B right here, a barred on the 4th fret, and that's a B, and you're going to go to a C. Well, instead of moving a whole step, you don't. You move a half step. From a B to a C is a half step. From an E to an F is a half step. So that's an E to an F, but then when you're coming back to a D, you go 2 to a C, then to a B. And I always remember it like from B to C and E to F, and I always, when I was starting, my banjo teacher was always like, just remember a B buzzing around, B, bzz, B, E. So that's how I internalized it, was that way. But it's B to C and E to F. Just remember, those are half steps. Everything else is a whole step. So if you understand that concept, then the next concept is to understand chord shapes. There's 3 movable chord shapes, and we're in the key of G. We've got our guitar tuned to a G. But there's 3 chord shapes that you've got to understand in order to learn your neck. The first chord shape is the F chord shape. And all that means is it's just the form that you're making your fingers in to form the F chord. That's called the F chord shape. Well, you can move that F chord shape down 2 rungs to a G, 2 more rungs to an A, 2 more rungs to a B. From a B to a C is 1, right? And on down your fretboard that way. So as long as you understand the way the chords work, then you can work out where each thing is on your neck, right? So let's say you're in a D position. And here's something that's cool that it's kind of obvious, but I didn't really put this together till a couple years into my learning the banjo. But like this D chord shape, and see, I asked my teacher I asked my teacher one time, I said, well, why ain't the C chord? Why ain't it movable? The dumbfounded look on his face when he looked back at me, like he didn't know where to begin to even think about answering that question. And I'll tell you why, in case you may have the same question, because God knows I did. I had some doozies. But anyways, you got a D chord, right? We got the D chord shape. So if you move up 2 frets with the D chord shape, 1 fret, 2 frets, which is a C, well, now you've got that C position, but you're just taking this finger off. So if you slide the C chord down 2 frets, boom, boom, and then lay this finger in there, that's a D. So the C chord, you know, is just a D chord shape without the finger on it. Anyways, I thought that was funny. Me and my teacher laughed about that for a while afterwards. Well, he laughed at it more than I did. But anyways, the thing with F, if you got an F chord shape, and remember, from an E to an F is a half step. So if you slide your F chord shape up a half step, then now you've got the E chord shape up here. So the third chord shape, the D, I'm sorry, I don't think I said that. The D is your second movable chord shape. So you got a D. That shape that you're holding to make that D with, say D, 2 to E, 1 to F, 2 to G, 2 to A. So you can move that chord shape all the way down and get these different chords with those chord shapes, right? Your final movable chord shape is the bar. And that's an A, B, C, D, E, F, and back to 12th is a G. So those are your 3 movable chord shapes up and down in the G tuning. Well, what happens is, and I'm not going to worry about from here to here right now, because be honest with you, what happens from here to here is it just starts over again. Everything you're learning up here starts over at these frets right here, because it's just in another octave. All you're doing is more or less moving up another octave down here. So everything from here down, once you learn this, is the same from here down. It's just your fingers are crammed more closer together. And usually when you get down here, what you'll run into, it seems like down here, usually, and I ain't saying this is all the time, but usually when you get down this area, a lot of this is partial chord shapes. So like, say if you're holding an F down here past your 12th fret, well, generally what will happen is you're running on these probably 3 strings, like running up the neck. And so like these 2 fingers sometimes, or maybe, 3 fingers, but usually this one, 4 string is not involved. Okay, now we've been through all of that, and I hope I've explained that well enough for you all to grasp what I'm talking about, because it took me years to for some reason to internalize all that. I mean, I understood moving chord shapes and stuff, but as far as learning my neck or knowing my neck, that was 2 different things. Yeah, I could do this, and I was like, well, if I got an F, I got to start way up here, and then figure out, 2, 4, 6, and go down, and figure out what chord, or if I have to get in a D, whatever, I'll start up here and go down. But the next part of what I'm getting ready to tell you is what's going to set this all free for you, or it did for me. Let me just say that. So, and I'm going to venture to say, we're going to start with the F chord shape, which up here is an F, right? So I learned an F, but I also know that if I go to the 5th fret with a D, that's also an F. And then if I go to the 10th fret with a bar, that's an F. Okay? So now I know an F here, I know an F here, and I know an F here. And from here, guys, what it takes is just effort on figuring out where these chord shapes are at down the neck. Now, I don't recommend taking the F shape and trying to go down and learn all the F shapes and then go in the D and learn all. What you need to do is pick a chord, like an F chord, and do that, and learn that these 3 places is where the F chord's at, right? So once you learn that these are the 3 places that the F chord's at, well, I know, what I can do now? If I know this is an F chord right here, I know I can slide it forward to a G chord. Or that's an F chord, I can slide it back a half fret, a half to an E. So now I know an F, a G, and an E right here from this one chord shape, and I understand where it's going. Now, what'll happen is, at first, that's how you're going to do it, right? You're going to say, this is an F, and then I know 2 forward is a G, right? Well, later on, it's just going to click with you while you're playing that, oh, hell, there's the G right there. I know that's the D chord, and on the 7th fret is a G, or what have you. But what made it click for me is learning one chord, an F chord. And I'm going with F because this is the one that I done it on. But I'm going with the F chord, and I'm learning it in 3 different positions. Right, so now down here too, which this is just obvious that the 12th fret is going to be a G because that's what we're tuned to, right? Then we got an F, and then we got an E right there. So now I have E, F, and G memorized. It's as simple as that. And then you pick another chord. All right, let's do the D chord, guys. Let's say the D chord shape, right? Okay, so it's a D up here, right? I know it's a D in the natural D position. But if I come down to the 7th fret and bar it, that's another D, okay? And then I know if I go to the 10th fret in the F position, right here, if I can get my fingers to cooperate with me. If I go to the 10th fret in the F position, that's also a D. So the 10th fret in the F position is a D. Slide back 2, 1, 2, there's my C. But also, one back from there is my B. So I got B, C, D. And all this will take time to do what I'm showing you guys, but if you understand that concept of how your fingers move when you find these different chord shapes, all you've got to do is pick out one chord shape and learn it, okay? And then just internalize that this is what this is. And once you do that, then you know chords off of that chord, right? Well, then pick you another one like I just done with D and move it down here, and now you got D, B, C, all up and down the fretboard. So now you got B, C, D, E, F, G, off learning D and the F chord shapes down the. So that's how I learned the fretboard myself. I'm still working on it. Like there's some positions, especially down past the 12th fret, that it takes me a second to kind of get to where I want to be at. But that's how I've learned the whole upper part of the fretboard, or that's how I know the fretboard, is because I've memorized just a couple of places, and once I got them memorized, then I could go from there. Well, then later on, it'll just hit you that that's an F chord, right? Was that an F or a D? Anyways, guys, I hope that this video isn't this long when I edit it, as long as I've been filming, because I've been trying to put a lot of information in here. But I hope you all get something out of this video. That's how I learned my neck, down to the 12th fret at least. Thank you all so much for pushing that play button. If this has helped you at all, please consider smashing that like button, guys, because it helps out tremendously. With that being said, we're going to go to the next video. The next 2 to 3 videos that I'm going to be putting out, guys, is going to kind of tie together with what I'm trying to show you right here, like with learning this. So that's my plans for the next couple of weeks, guys. Just to let you know, the next couple of videos will be going together somewhat.